Welcome to This Explainer. Today, I'm going to show you how HTML really isn't some incredibly intimidating computer code, but rather the essential, easy-to-learn blueprint for building literally any digital house on the web. I know a lot of people see angle brackets and forward slashes and immediately feel overwhelmed. But today, we're going to break down the exact building blocks that make up every single web page you visit every day. By the end of this, you're going to see just how approachable and logical this language truly is.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. The web's blueprint. 2. Decoding HTML tags. 3. Common HTML elements. 4. Structuring a web page. And finally, 5. Rules of the road.
Section 1. The web's blueprint. Foundation of HTML. Let's start laying our groundwork and define exactly what it is we're working with.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that HTML takes unformatted text and organizes it into a logical structure that a web browser can actually understand. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Notice I didn't say programming language. It doesn't handle complex logic or math. It is strictly a markup language. Its primary job is simply to describe the structure of a web page using specific elements and attributes. It's basically telling your browser, hey, this thing here is a heading, or this chunk of text is a paragraph.
And that brilliantly illustrates the hyper part of the name. It's the system of links that connects all our digital houses together into a massive neighborhood we call the web. When we say hypertext, we are literally talking about text that goes way beyond just sitting passively on a page. It is the exact method by which different HTML documents are tied together. Without hypertext, the internet would literally just be a bunch of isolated, disconnected files.
So why is HTML the perfect building material? Well, for starters, it's exceptionally beginner-friendly. It is simple and easy to pick up. It's also entirely platform-independent. Whether someone is viewing your digital house on a Windows PC, a Mac, an Android phone, or browsing through Chrome, Safari, or Firefox, HTML just works. And perhaps best of all, it's totally extensible. Once you build your foundation with HTML, you can easily enhance it later. You can paint the walls with CSS for styling, or you can wire up some electricity with JavaScript to add interactivity.
Moving on to Section 2, Decoding HTML Tags, Building Blocks. Now let's look at the actual bricks and mortar we use to construct our blueprint.
The real secret to reading HTML lies in those little angle brackets. These distinct markers tell the browser exactly where an element begins and where it ends. Whenever you see a keyword surrounded by a less than and greater than sign, you are looking at an HTML tag. These are the fundamental pieces of markup that indicate to the web browser exactly how it should format and display the content that's nestled right inside them.
Now, we can categorize these building blocks into two distinct types. First, we have paired or container tags, which require both a start tag and an end tag. The end tag looks exactly like the start tag, except it has a forward slash inserted right before the tag name. Think of a paragraph tag. You start it, you put your text inside, and then you close it so the browser knows the paragraph is officially over. On the flip side, we have empty or self-closing tags. These stand completely on their own without needing to be closed. Good examples of these are a line break or a horizontal rule that separates content on a page. Since they don't actually contain any text, they just don't need a closing tag.
Section 3, Common HTML Elements, Furnishing Our House. Let's see how this builds as we start outfitting our blueprint with a variety of elements.
Let's check out the main structural elements. You've got your root element, which is the HTML tag itself. Inside that sits the head tag. That's the container for all your behind-the-scenes metadata, basically data about data. Below that is the body tag, and that is where your visible content lives. And inside that body, you're definitely going to want headings. HTML gives you 6 levels of headings, ranging from H1 for your main, largest titles, all the way down to H6 for your smallest subheadings.
Once we have our structure in place, we can easily furnish our text with formatting tags. You can use B for bold or I for italic. But crucially, modern HTML relies heavily on semantic tags like strong or M for emphasis. These are absolutely vital because they tell the browser and assistive technologies like screen readers not just how the text should visually look, but how important that text actually is. It's a game changer for accessibility and search engine optimization.
Now, what if you need to group related items? Well, HTML gives you 3 really clean ways to make lists. If the sequence matters, like a step-by-step recipe, use an ordered list, or OL, which displays your items with numbers or letters. If the order doesn't really matter, like a grocery list, you use an unordered list, or UL, which gives you standard bullet points. And for things like glossaries, we have the description list, or DL, which perfectly pairs your terms with their specific descriptions. For the more complex setups, where you need to display data in rows and columns, we use table tags. You basically set the table, define your table rows with TR, add your table headings with TH, and drop in your table data with TD. Then we have form tags, and these are what turn the web from a static brochure into a fully interactive experience. Paired with interactive input elements, forms are exactly how we create those text boxes and submit buttons we use to collect information every single day online.
You also really can't have a modern website without these two absolute heavyweights, the anchor tag and the image tag. The A tag defines a hyperlink. It uses an attribute called href to point to another page's URL, making the internet, well, interconnected. The image tag, or IMG, embeds pictures. It's an empty tag, but it requires two vital attributes to work. SRC, which specifies the path of the image file, and crucially, alt, which provides alternate text to describe the image. That alt text is absolutely essential just in case the image fails to load, and it's a must-have for users utilizing screen readers.
All right, Section 4, structuring a web page, putting it together. Now we're going to pull back, view the entire floor plan, and see how all these distinct pieces nest together to form a complete document.
Every single web page requires this exact skeletal sequence. Step 1, you start by declaring the document type right at the top with an exclamation point, doctype HTML. This tells the browser to expect modern HTML5. Step 2, you open your root HTML tag. Step 3, you set up the head tag. This is where your page title goes, along with all that invisible metadata. Finally, step 4, you open your body tag and put all your visible content, your headings, paragraphs, images, and tables right inside.
And finally, Section 5, Rules of the Road, Coding Conventions. To wrap up our explainer today, we need to go over the building codes of HTML. These are the coding conventions that separate the amateur sites from the truly professional ones.
These rules aren't just there to be annoying, they exist to make our lives infinitely easier by improving readability, maintainability, and consistency. Let's look at the structure rules first. Always use proper document structure, and use proper indentation so you can clearly see when one element is nested inside another. Then, for the syntax rules. Keep your tag names and attribute names in lowercase, just for consistency. Always enclose your attribute values in quotation marks. Always remember to close your container tags properly. Trust me, leaving a paragraph tag open can mess up your whole page. And lastly, use comments to leave notes in your code. The browser ignores them, but future you will definitely thank you for it.
Just take a second to let this sink in. Every single website you visit, from Google to Netflix to your absolute favorite blog, relies on this exact same structural foundation we just covered. You now know how to lay the bricks, frame the rooms, and connect the doors using HTML elements and attributes. This leaves us with just one incredibly exciting question. Now that you have the blueprint, what kind of digital house are you going to build first? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.